Welcome to Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm Pannon.
And I'm Fire.
And I'm David.
David! I'm excited today.
I could tell. As always, if you guys would like to reach out to us, you can always do so via email, which is cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or
you can go to the website, cosplaystitchandseam.com, and fill out the googly Google form, or
go to our Facebook page, join our awesome group, send your message there, and share your work in progress Wednesdays. And hey, you're on the internet. Do us a favor. Leave us a review on Apple Podcast, Audible, Podchaser, wherever they let you, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. That really helps us out, helps the algorithm, and any chance that we get to kind of boost our numbers is really helpful. But we appreciate you. If there's other ways that you want to support us, just sharing the episode with a friend would mean a lot to us. And if you've got a few bucks laying around that you don't know where to send it here to our Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch. For $3 a month, we give you a shout out on the show. For $5 a month, we get you access to our live stream D&D game. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. I'm just excited. Like the possibilities are endless. We just included a new feat where they have the ability to use crafting as a skill and it's a made up skill. So it's really cool. And I'm really excited about what my players are going to do with that.
Yes. I was just telling David before we started, because we are recording the new episode this coming Sunday, but for you guys, it will have already passed. So our next stream is going to be May 2nd. So there's plenty of time for you to get in on that. But yeah, I'm super excited to see where our next adventure is going to take us.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to see what happens. But if you're not a Patreon kind of person, we have a coffee account, KOFI, and just search Cosplay Stitch.
Hey, we also have a Discord, and you can watch our Facebook group for invitations on that. Come join us, chat with friends and experienced cosplayers, make friends, talk about, what is it now? Is it now going to Winter Soldier and the Falcon?
Yeah. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Pretty soon will probably be Loki, because this one's only 6 episodes.
Right.
Loki.
I'm debating about bringing up Invincible, but that one's pretty intense. Even for me, like as I'm watching it and it's a cartoon, I go, oh no.
We are quickly approaching the deadline for the brush challenge. Do you want to give us some details on that, Mercedes?
Yes, send your videos to me. Email them to cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com. And you're going to want one video of you as your beautiful normal self, and then another video of you as your beautiful cosplay self. And with a brush transition in the middle. Again, I'll add in, make it actually transition. You just have to do the actions. Booyah. Get that in by April 30th. Woo!
Yay. I still need to do that.
Me too.
I'm not
I need mine to work.
What?
What? I need my sewing machine to work, dang it.
Oh, man. Also, if you guys are interested in some amazing cosplay cosmetics made by a cosplayer, check out Fox Beauty Cosmetics. That's Fox with 2 X's. Beautycosmetics.com. Use the promo code Stitch and Seam, all spelled out, to get 10% off your order. And all products are vegan and not tested on animals.
Heck yeah.
I know, I'm trying to think of what fun look I can put together for our live stream this coming Sunday, because I don't know, I like putting together fun, ridiculous looks for that.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah. So this episode, we kind of teased it at the end of last episode, but you guys probably noticed we don't always do 100% cosplay episodes. Sometimes we do products and materials that are related to cosplay. Sometimes we just do hobbies people are excited about. Mercedes, what was it last year?
The car show at the Autorama. That was so much fun. And so I feel like our episode today is I don't know, I think it's good every now and then to explore other love for the hobbies kind of thing, other passions, and see what they're like, because we're not alone in our passion for our hobby.
Definitely.
And so it's really fun just to see that everyone can be just as excited about whatever it is that they're into.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've heard at the end of our episodes about Comic Trades Monthly and about Dungeons and Chill, but we're very excited to talk about David's new podcast, which is
The Last Voice.
Yeah. And it's actually an audio drama, isn't it?
Yes, that is 100% correct. Fully written, directed, and edited, audio edited by me.
That is awesome. So our special guest today is David.
It was me, Dio.
No. So I was kind of excited to get to do some of our guest questions and learn more about David. So I know I don't get to do this very often. So tell us about yourself, David. How long have you been cosplaying? How long have you been editing and podcasting?
So I've been cosplaying. Let's see. When did cosplay start its broadcasting? Because I feel like that's really when it kicked off for me.
It's in May. Our birthday's coming up again, guys.
Oh, that's so exciting.
We're going to be 3, aren't we?
Yeah, that's wild. That's absolutely wild to me. No, I had a few costumes that I did before Cosplay Stitch and Seam, so I'd probably say that I've been cosplaying about 4 or 5 years now, but I wouldn't say that I'm like a major cosplayer where I do like one costume a year. I just kind of do whatever strikes my fancy in the moment.
Nice. And what about your podcasting? Because I know you were doing podcast way long before you got to hang out with us cool people.
So Dungeons and Chill was actually my first podcast that I started. I started doing that about middle of 2016. 6 years ago now, where I invited a bunch of people from my job at Netflix to start Dungeons and Chill, and it just felt so right. A bunch of people working from Netflix, and we named it Dungeons and Chill. Like it was perfect.
Oh, that's why it's Dungeons and Chill.
That's why it's Dungeons and Chill. It was just kind of like a joke that Snef, who plays Arya, we were thinking about names for the podcast, and I was like, what about Dungeons and Chill? Like we all work for Netflix with the exception of Kaylin, and like it just like that was it. Like I could not hear any other name after that. So yeah, 2016 was when we started doing that, and that was really exciting. That was a lot of fun. And then from there, I just kind of had this bug, and I was like, what else can I do? I really enjoy this editing. This is a lot of fun. I love talking about comics. And I had a friend who at my previous job before Netflix, where we would sit down and like after work talk for an hour and a half just about whatever we were reading that day.
Nice.
And so I was just like, Dane, like, come on, let's talk about comic books for a while, but not just like, yeah, Spider-Man's the coolest, but it was purely just like, what does it mean to be Spider-Man in this kind of world? Why is Professor Xavier one of the worst human beings on the face of this planet? And like,
I want the PowerPoint on that one.
And like it's gotten us some really great opportunities. Like we've gotten to talk to some smaller time creators. Like we got to talk to the creators who created Metal Shark Bro, which is a shark that had to like make a deal with the devil and became like Cloud from Final Fantasy and just go around killing people, gathering souls. It was awesome.
Amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, you have done so many podcasts just in the last few years. Do you have a favorite episode? Or like, where's a good place to start for people that are new to them?
So Dungeons and Chill, that's been like a long storytelling process. So episode 1 there. Comic Trades Monthly is designed so that way you don't have to listen to previous episodes. We try not to make too many inside jokes other than ones that can be easily explained, like the fact that we both need therapy. We both have father issues, and just bad jokes every now and again. So I think, what's one of my favorite episodes of Comic Trades? Oh man, that's a hard pick. The first one that came to my mind was Sandman. Where we had both of our wives join us for that episode. And that one was a lot of fun.
That was a good comic too.
It's a great comic. There's a crossover between Sandman and Lock and Key that just got announced.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So then I would probably say for Dungeons and Chill, there was it's called Run Neelith Run, and it comes that's the beginning of like the next 4 episodes that are just some of my favorite stuff. It doesn't make as much sense unless you listen to a little bit earlier on. But it's just everything is leading up to these big pivotal moments. Neelith, who is Kaylin's character, has to run and warn like the city guard and whatnot, and run several miles, and it's just nothing but intense. Like, you're running through the city, jump, roll for this, jump, do that, dodge these people.
Ooh.
Are you going to make it in time? Just this intensity, and the payoff is, for me, really great. Probably not for everybody else, but for me, it was fantastic.
No, I got like
awesome.
little goosebumps.
Also, like, Dungeons and Chill, like, every episode is named after either a movie or a TV show. It's like an Easter egg that I do for myself that I don't know if anybody else
awesome.
really notices.
See, now I have to go look and see how many I can place.
And then for this one, I think, honestly, our body positivity episodes, like, anytime that we do those, especially live, where we have, like, the audience to, like, talk to and experience the real-time reaction, are always some of my favorite. Like, they make me cry in the best possible way.
Oh, definitely. I think I've cried on like every time we've done one of those. But in a good way. It's like therapeutic, and it's very, I don't know, satisfying knowing that there are other people who feel the same way, and like that everyone can relate to that, you know?
Yeah, I'd agree so wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So tell us about this new project. What's the premise?
I'm so excited. Please, please, please. Without spoilers.
Yeah. So the premise is that it's the end of the world. Something has happened, and we meet this character named Gabriel Blythe, and he is trying to reach out in the only way that he knows how to. He sets up a small radio kit to try and reach out to people and bring people together. Someone explained it as soft zombie core.
Aww.
Because it in an essence, it does have zombies, but it's not Walking Dead where the focus is on like the zombies or the change of people. It's about this person who is trying to survive complete isolation in ways that no one should really have to endure, and what becomes of a person when they don't have anyone to really communicate with. So it's a hard listen to after 2020, and every episode has a content advisory warning of just like, hey, this is what it's going to deal with. This is isolation, and I recognize that may not be the best thing for everybody after 2020.
Or it might be something hecka relatable.
When I heard that you were doing like a zombie kind of apocalyptic themed podcast, I thought we were going to get these content warnings for like blood and gore and gross sounds and things like that. But it's actually like more of an emotional content warning, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely much more emotional. There is an episode where he gets really upset because it's been several weeks. Every episode is like titled a new week, and he's like, no one's here. Like, I'm done. I think out of all the people that I hate the most, I hate you. And it's just this general, like, universal you. Because he's assuming that at least one person has to be listening every week. And that was one of my favorite episodes to write because of the fact that he's done. Like, when you hit your head against a wall for so long, you get to a point where it's like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, there's no freaking point. So, he just kind of like breaks down a little bit. It's a hard thing, but it is definitely more emotional. There is some intense scenes, but it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, he's biting my arm off, and then you hear like the gory sound effect or anything along those lines.
Nice. So I know you've kind of mentioned it here and there, at least I think you've mentioned it on our podcast here and there, because you definitely talked about it in November because you did it for NaNoWriMo.
Yes.
But how long have you actually been working on this?
10 years.
Wow. Really?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this is the 5th iteration of what I wanted it to be. The first iteration was a YouTube series that I was thinking about. Very like handheld, tripod mounted with crappy lighting, crappy sound. And Gabriel Blythe was a very violent character in my head. And I kind of sat on it. I wrote out a few things like plot points that I wanted to hit, and it never really felt right. And then I kind of rewrote it in my head a couple of times of like, what do I want it to see? What are the themes that I want to hit? And it wasn't until I hit therapy that I realized like, oh my gosh, there's so many things of my life that I feel other people, not like my personal life, but the things that I've learned that I feel like other people need to experience in some way or another. And that kind of drew me back to the project. And and so I wrote it again, probably 2015 or so, let it sit. And then 2017, I wrote out the entire first season. 2019, I recorded everything. Like I recorded every single episode.
Nice.
And I hated it.
Oh.
Everything. And I deleted it.
Oh, man.
100%. And like, this is one of those, like, you kill your darlings kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because even though I loved it, I was really proud of what I did. It still wasn't right. So I just kind of gave it some more time. And for NaNoWriMo last year, it was like, there's no better time than the present. And I just barreled through and I got the first 2 seasons written. And I'm really pleased with them. I'm really proud of them.
So awesome.
I'm so glad to hear that too. That like all that work and you're proud of it. Like that's really good to hear. I've seen people who put like a ton of work into something in the end they just hate it.
Yeah.
And so it really is like something when you get to the end and you still are like, I love this.
Yeah. So you mentioned that like this main character has like all these anger issues and you're exploring some really dark emotional themes. Like, what would you say inspired this? Because you don't strike me as a particularly like violent or dark person, but I mean, that's the fun of fiction, right?
Yeah. And I think when Gabriel was first like created in my head, it was kind of this antithesis of me where he had guns and he had swords and like the zombie apocalypse is upon him and he's really excited to take advantage of that very Zombieland kind of style with what was it, Tallahassee, where
Tallahassee.
He's like, yeah. And he's like so violent and he's like gung-ho about it. And I don't know, something just inside of me kind of quelled. And I think the message that I like that inspired me was like, people need to know like being alone is okay, but being alone is terrible. It's just a destructive force on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something that I struggled with for a very long time. And that's why like reaching out to Mercedes of like, hey, do you guys need an editor? Was like panic attack inducing because it's just not something that I ever really did. So the idea of creating something that people can relate to and being alone and wanting to be alone and seeing how negative that really is.
Yeah. I imagine those are like some pretty raw emotions for not just you, but for listeners too.
Yeah. That's I actually have a playlist called That's Sad Writing Stuff, and it's just sad writing music for me to help get me into the headspace. Yeah.
When you go to get into like the voice space, do you do a similar?
I think when I'm writing the voice, it's coming from me, so it doesn't take too much. But to try and get into that like isolationist mind space, like I need a little bit of help. I have a few playlists that I like to go to, but not to get the voice. Like the voice is very much what I would say is like my writing style.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just like kind of curious about that.
So on the topic of your writing style, have you done a lot of other like script style writing? Do you mostly write prose, or is this like your biggest writing project you've taken on?
I would probably say that anytime that I'm doing Dungeons and Dragons is part of my writing.
Oh, definitely.
Right now, I have Dungeons and Chill. I have the Cosplay Chronicles. I have my Metamore game with all of my metas. I have my friend game that's on hiatus right now just because of COVID, and I think that's it.
Wow,
I might be missing one.
Busy.
So anytime that I'm writing something, I feel like that's me writing. I originally wrote the first half of a novel for Dungeons and Chill, and I kind of lost interest in that. Just didn't have the steam to keep that up. So this is probably like my first foray of something scripted, edited, reviewed, and ready to publish.
Nice. That's really cool, though. That it takes a lot to make something feel complete.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm curious, like, how long is each episode going to be, and how long do you anticipate the series being?
So each episode is going to vary. I didn't want it to be like a 30-minute thing or an hour-long thing because that is a lot on both me, writing, editing, and acting, and also on the listener. So most of the time, I don't think we're going to have an episode more than 20 minutes. Shortest episode probably is going to be like 5, with the exception of a few things here and there, but not to spoil that.
Nice.
Exciting.
And you've written 2 seasons.
I've written 2.5.
Oh.
I do have an end. It's one of those things that, like, if it organically reaches an end, ideally I'm picturing 5 seasons, but if I feel like there's something else that needs to be added, not to George R.R. Martin it, but to like throw in something in the middle of like, oh, this probably needs to be explained better or something along those lines.
Gotcha. So you did have an end in mind when you were writing it?
Yes, I do have an end in mind, and there was some show that I was watching, and I can't remember what it was, and I was like, "Holy crap! Did they steal my ending?"
Oh, no.
I haven't mentioned this ending to anybody else. I don't even remember what the show was, but I just remember like sitting there, like, do I need to rethink everything? And like they were leading up to this, and then at the last moment, they did a 90-degree turn, and I was like, oh, "Okay, all right, we're good.
Okay,
we're
it's fine. It's fine.
Like, it's all good.
Let's see. You kind of talked about this before, but like, how do you feel like your life experiences have contributed to this project? Are there like, I guess, details from your own life that you've drawn from? I know every one of us can relate to isolation and feeling alone after this last year. But for you personally, is there something that inspired you?
When it comes to like life stories, there are definitely things that I threw in of my personal life. Gabriel admits that he's really bad at math. And hello, yes, hi. The story that he tells about math in the show is 100% true and accurate to my life. So nice. he explains like, yeah, I'm bad at this because of these reasons, and that was me. That's me now. Like I don't. He talks about going like. He had a friend who would go to a club who would read a book in the corner, and like he didn't get it. And I once went to a club with Kaylin, and I just didn't have any interest. Like I didn't have the spell slots or the spoons or anything for it. So I just brought a book and I sat in the corner and it was great. Nobody bothered me except for like 2 people who were like, "What you reading?" All right. Yeah, let's do this. So yeah, there's definitely some like fun stories that I've been able to throw in there for my sake. But a lot of it is like he talks about intent versus impact. The intent that you may have on somebody, you do not control the impact of that. My intent is to show appreciation and love, but that could have the impact of making someone uncomfortable because that's more emotional bearing that they might be able to handle at that time, kind of thing. So that's a common theme that Gabe is constantly hitting on, is that like, this is my intent and I can't make excuses for the impact that it has on you other than communication. So why aren't you talking to me? Because I'm all alone, kind of thing.
As someone else who writes and has a Google search history that I don't think I would want to share with anyone, what is the strangest thing you've had to research for this story?
Did you know there are secret tunnels under Salt Lake City?
I did! Yes!
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, I did know this because of Last of Us.
Last of Us was very free and loose with those.
Yes.
But they're all around Salt Lake City, especially leading to any building that the LDS organization owns.
Oh, wow. And are there like maps and documentation?
Not ones that are easily found. It's a lot of hearsay, but you can find like official documentation of people in the church organization, and it's saying like, yeah, no, this is a thing that's real. So like, I think it even like there's one tunnel that even leads to the Capitol, but that one's purely hearsay. So don't quote me on that one. But I know confidently that there are tunnels underneath Salt Lake City.
Like I'd heard about it in like rumor, but I didn't know it was quite that extensive.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Secret tunnel.
Oh, no.
I gotta go find them.
There was some things that I knew, like the internet actually started here at the University of Utah.
I knew that.
that one I knew. But it also came up with the fact that the game Pong, the creator, went to the U of U.
That's super cool. Wait, I knew that. What am I thinking? Oh my gosh, I graduated in that program.
But did you also know that once he retired from Atari, that's the same creator, he came back to Utah to start a small, not fast food, but entertainment food chain called Chuck E. Cheese's?
What?
Yeah.
What? That's amazing. Okay, that I did not know.
Yeah.
Dope.
He took his Atari money and he created Chuck E. Cheese's.
That is a connection I have not. Wow. I am having a little bit of a mind blown moment.
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So, all right. How do you segue out of Chuck E. Cheese's?
Chuck E. Cheese's, yeah, I know.
So what restaurant inspiration is going to come from your podcast?
I did in like the third draft of the script. He did have a fight scene in a Burger King.
Oh,
I wasn't
sweet.
sure if he could have a fight in a Burger King without getting sued or anything along those lines. So that fight scene got changed a little bit later on. So
okay, yeah. But does he get a crown and when he wins say it's good to be king?
No, he does not. He does not completely Harry Dresden it from the Dresden Files.
Thank you for catching my reference. I knew you would.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry, I just geeked all over that.
That's beautiful.
So speaking of other creators and writers and whatnot, what other writers or audio dramas are you motivated by or inspired by or just that you like?
So there's like the main one that I have to like point a finger at of like triggering that this was even a possibility. This was a thing that was like in my childhood. I remember like the earliest memory of it being in like when I was 10. And it's called Ruby, the Galactic Gumshoe. And it's this full audio drama where it was just this guy who was making like 10-minute long episodes, and like 90% of it was just like filler from previous episodes of like, oh yes, and last time we did this thing. But it's fully acted out. It's got a great script, great dialogue, great actors, great sound effects. I highly recommend it if you can find it online. It's done by the ZBS production group. That's Zeta Bravo Sierra. So they're really, really good. I think I also have to like really thank the Magnus Archives for like the inspiration, because one, they're done. It's all done. And I'm very saddened by the fact that they were done.
Oh, and I still have to I still have to listen to like the last 5 episodes because
I need to binge the whole last season still. I've just not been mentally prepared for it.
The fact that they were done was like, oh, it's time to fill the void. And like the void for me is going to be like making it again, you know?
Nice.
Not
I like that.
The same thing, but again.
Definitely.
But yeah, I've been a big fan of audio dramas. So like those are the 2 big ones that I need to like, oh man, these really were inspiring. The Old Gods of Appalachia, however it's said. It's also kind of like this elder god horror with one person reading kind of a script with some really great music behind it. So yeah, no, there's just too many to name. But yeah, those would be my like, big 3 right now.
Nice.
Awesome.
Those are good, all good suggestions. And now I have 2 that I need to give a shot, and 1 that I need to finish. Given that you've worked on or are currently working on at least 4 podcasts now, what advice would you give someone looking to start their own? And I also am curious, like, how doing a podcast like this varies from these other ones that are a lot more conversational.
Sure. So the first thing that I would say is that when you look at iTunes or you look at Stitcher or anything along those lines, it feels overwhelming. There are so many different podcasts out there, and everybody has a podcast. The McElroys even wrote a book. Everyone has a podcast but you. But I read an article just today that says out of the millions of podcasts out there, there's only 300,000 or so that are actually active. And what they define as active is they had more than 3 episodes and they had been regularly posting within the previous 90 days.
Wow.
So it looks like there's a lot out there, but it's all just kind of fluff and it feels overwhelming. So don't be afraid to do the thing that you want to do. And Dungeons and Chill started with us recording on 3 cell phones located throughout the room.
Wow.
And now I've got microphones and whatnot, so we can do this in person, or I figured out the technologies to make sure that we can get this done over the internets. It's just one of those things, like, there is no better time to do it than now. Just do it. When it comes to the general advice is like, don't find someone who's just like shares somewhat of the interest. Go in with a plan. Go in it with it as a business. Like, even if it's just for fun, go in with it like, what's your goal? How many episodes do you want to do? Is it a story? Is it conversational? Is it advice? Do you want to just do like radio morning segment kind of stuff, like the Bob and Tom show or Radio from Hell here in Utah or something like that? Have a goal, and if you're going to bring people on to be consistent, talk to them like, this is serious for me. Like, tell them what you want this to look like in the end. And the end can be the end of the episode, the end when it's aired, or the end of the series. So just be true to yourself about that, and true to the people around you.
Nice.
What's really different about this is, one, it has all the sound effects so far I have made by myself. I've done all the Foley work.
That's a lot of work.
So it's not just like pulling from like free clips and stuff. You actually like did the Foley work?
Yes, I did all of the Foley work.
That's cool. Super cool.
There's one, I think it's going to be in one of the clips that I'll add to the episode here. But there's one that was like kind of a generator dying, and it was a fan that I just turned off, and it just.
I was going to ask how you did that sound.
Yeah, it was modified to pieces. So it was like slowed down, the bass was increased, the treble was removed, and it just did that a couple of times over, and that gave me a perfect, heavy kind of clunk sound. At the end of every episode, there is a kind of toggle click to signify that it's the end, because oftentimes I feel like if you have a button to say, hey, this is when it's over, like, it gives you an opportunity to breathe.
Nice.
And that's honestly just my volume knob on my speakers here at my desk. And then just gave it some space and some reverb, and again, pitch corrected, and got that sorted. The only thing that I didn't generate was kind of the radio static, and I just went to an online radio band watcher, and I basically opened it up and I said, I want all of these frequencies where no one else is, and just give me the static. And then I moved those around. So I didn't create those by hand, but I did gather them myself.
So this question, it's not a spoiler. It's just at the end of the first episode, so you can cut this if you need to from our episode.
Yeah.
I'm super curious about the Morse code. Like, did you generate that? Did you go to like a website that makes it, or?
That one I did generate. I went to a website that like generates it for free, and that one I also had to pitch down because of, like, one, it was way too loud and it was way too fast. So I had to slow it down. I had to give it, like, tell it to stop at certain points so that way it would draw itself out just a little bit more. And then I had it repeating and then just fade that out into nothing.
Oh, nice.
See, that's one I was like super curious about, because when I heard it, I was like, okay, is this an Easter egg? I want to know what it says.
There are Easter eggs here and there in the episodes that you guys will be able to listen to. There are a few that tell you more about the world, and there are going to be just random things. The idea that I really wanted with this is that you are listening to this in real time as it's happening with Gabriel. So you might have, like, him fixing the radio is an episode he does on like a Saturday. So he just like turns it on and he's like, that's not, why is that on fire? Oh no, kind of the same thing as the prologue episode. So yeah, if there's going to be like an Easter egg thing, I'm not going to like hide it in the metadata of the episode, so you have to download it and then you have to decode it and play it backwards, kind of thing. It's not like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of like involved. If it's going to be a thing that I want you to discover, it's going to be there, and I want people to be talking about it, like, oh, I translated this, I figured what he was saying here, stuff like that.
Nice.
Wow.
No, I love that. So
I love puzzles.
I was going to ask for any parting thoughts on like anything you want to say to like drum up enthusiasm, but this whole episode has been like really interesting and I want to
enthusiastic.
I want to hear more. But I was also super curious because I have not asked Mercedes a question this whole episode, and I really wanted to know what you thought.
Well, I thought?
Yeah.
I loved it. I gotta listen to it. Like, are there like little sneaky hidden things in that first little bit? Because now I gotta re-listen to it and find them. I'm gonna figure out the Morse code. I am very intrigued by the whole thing. Like, it's drawn me in. I need to know what's going on. I need to know more, and I want to know what Gabe's going to be up to next. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm excited for more of the emotion, and like, I know, like, again, like, we're all hesitant because of COVID and being isolated and all that, but also like having gone through quarantine and all that, I'm excited to hear it in a more fantastical situation than, you know, what I actually went through.
For me, I thought it had a really good emotional impact, like right off the bat. Like,
yes,
I feel like you can feel Gabe's frustration, and it helped a lot that it is describing places that are local to us. Because, like, instantly I was like, oh, I know where that is. Oh, I know what place he's talking about. Oh, I know where he wants to meet. So, like, I instantly had kind of a connection of like, oh, this is like my hometown, and like, what's going on with my hometown full of the Z word? And so it had that. It had all these like fun Easter eggs and like little hooks where I'm like, oh, what's going to happen with this? Oh, I'm really curious about where it's going with that. So, yeah. I am very excited to see where it's going. And David, why don't you David words. I'm sorry.
David, do words.
David, why don't you do some words and tell us some closing thoughts about your amazing podcast?
So, like, when it comes to Comic Trades Monthly, every single episode that we end with is like, what's the theme? What is it that you drew from this? What do you think the author's trying to tell us, and what do you draw upon it? How do you envision the characters changing and developing after this? It's a heavy thing, and it's one of those things that, like, I definitely have an intent behind it, but the impact again is out of my control, and I want people to be able to like draw something and grow for themselves beyond it. That's my goal with this. Is I want people to like listen to it and have a moment where they connect. And that's scary, and it's hard to write, and it sounds like really like egotistical that like, yes, I'm such a great writer. Everyone will walk away a better person.
Jeez.
But at the end of the day, I want people to enjoy just this weird world that is where zombies are. And like, he even like doesn't like to use the word zombie because he's fragile in the way that like, what if someone wakes up from this? Like, what if there's a cure and we've been calling them like this really degraded name for so long? That's just, it's irresponsible. And like, it feels cartoonish to Gabriel. If you enjoy world building, I did my best in this. I feel really proud about it. There's Easter eggs in the dialogue. Like, I'm not going to point it out now. Like, it's just one of those things that like the way that he speaks is very particular to how I'm describing the world. What he mentions and how he goes about things is very specific. And I don't think I did a terrible job of hiding it. But at the same time, like, when you think about world building, if you're going to communicate your world to another person on this world, you're not going to explain all the strange things. It doesn't make sense that a high fantasy realm, like, yeah, elves are weird, aren't they? Yeah, elves, yeah. No, they're just like, elves are already a thing. So in that same realm, he doesn't think that he has to explain anything different because he's trying to communicate to somebody on his level. So that's kind of the fun of it. I could talk about this forever. Like I just keep watching the seconds roll by, and I feel like I'm rambling.
No, you're not.
No, you're good.
So come away with this.
Well,
with like,
I was gonna say on that note, like that's one thing in writing that I have always like struggled with is like, okay, so yeah, elves are a normal thing in this world. So how do you refer to this and give the in your case the listener or the reader, know that this is an elf, and just like trying to come up with like the correct verbiage for that kind of stuff without making it feel like blatant exposition. This is an elf, making it feel like it's just coming from the world. That's hard to do.
Yeah. But it was a fun challenge, and I'm really proud of. Again, I'm just so proud of this project.
Definitely.
Good.
Where can people listen to it?
Yeah, you can. As of the time of this recording, you should be able to find it on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Podcast, and Spotify, or pretty much anywhere that your podcast catcher will be able to find. It's just called The Last Voice. It's got a picture of downtown Salt Lake, who is a professional photographer. She offered to take me on a photo shoot so we could just like get the perfect shot, and she was fantastic to work with. I make sure to credit her in the show notes every single episode because, artists support artists kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend of mine who was one of like the main editors of the story. For very specific reasons in one place and another. And so again, she's credited as well. So yeah, you can find that, and I'll be posting it on my social media feeds on Twitter at Crest Sphinx or on my Instagram at the Crest Sphinx.
Yeah. We're gonna share it too. Because
that's dope. Absolutely. So you guys ready for a cosplay horror story?
Heck yeah.
Okay. I'm going to read this one because it's actually kind of a follow-up from last week. It's about that same Raven costume that Sumikins was making for WCS.
Oh, no. What happened? What happened?
So she starts it with, I think this tearaway was cursed because I have another horror story related to it.
Oh no!
The main part of my tearaway was a giant raven head. I'd never made anything like this before, but knowing it was going to be hot in Japan, I had built the whole thing using a sort of lattice work of poster board and then draped it in a very thin, almost sheer black knit, made all of the feathers out of poster board, and then glued them on. Okay, that I can see that. He was packed into a very large box, along with some of our other props, and heavily padded with packing peanuts and other air-filled things. Enter TSA.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
We arrived with TSA stickers on the box, indicating they had searched it. My heart was in my throat. Thankfully, my sword was fine. My raven head was not so lucky. Perhaps predictably, they had crushed the poster board cage in spots, and once the poster board has been folded, it ruined the light structural integrity. My first thought to fix this was to build bones out of the packing tape we brought with us and tape them to the spots that were crushed. This didn't work so well. I remember sitting on the floor in our hotel room and my brain was just broken. I stood up and was like, well, I'm going to bed. I wasn't angry. I wasn't worried. I wasn't stressed. I was just done. My partner waited for a meltdown or an explosion that never came. I didn't know if it was going to be okay or not, and I just didn't care anymore.
Oh.
The next day, I added even more tape, essentially creating a new support structure. It was very warm in there, but it made it out onto the stage.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But when I put everything on, we realized that there were big gaps between the collar of my shirt and the raven head, which would ruin the illusion by showing everything that was hidden underneath. I had planned to be able to remove the shirt and then the head from behind a piece of backlit tracing paper for a cool silhouette effect. This did not work out. There we were, backstage, and our organizer had to basically safety pin my raven head to the tearaway shirt all around the collar. No time to think about how I was going to get it off. The front of the head also had a long neck torso extension in the front, covered in more poster board feathers, which hung down under the shirt opening in front. Now that the head and thus front were connected to the neck of the shirt, I ended up having to pull the entire thing over my head like a sweatshirt. And it's a wonder I still made my cue with plenty of time because we had zero opportunity to practice it beforehand.
Wow.
Goodness.
That was a wild ride, Sumikins.
Yeah, that was.
But thank you very much for sharing. If you guys listening would like to share one of your horror stories or your happy stories, or just tell us how you're doing, you can email us at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or
you can fill out the Google form at cosplaystitchandseam.com, or
go to our Facebook page, send us a message there, and while you're there, join our Work in Progress Wednesdays. If you're not a big fan of Facebook, that's totally fine. We have a whole Discord server. Every now and again, we drop a link on our Facebook and our Twitter to make sure that you have the opportunity to join this awesome community where this exact story was shared, so you can even read it before we even read it on air. It's awesome.
woo!
And while you're on the internet, if you want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Audible, wherever they let you. We will read it on, not read it, we will read out your name as a shout out saying thank you. If you've left a review and we haven't mentioned it yet, and it's been a while, please reach out. We want to give you the kudos that you deserve. And there's so many other ways that you can support the show beyond just leaving us a review if you're feeling about going above and beyond. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch, where at $3 a month, you will be able to just get your name shouted out in the show. But for $5 a month, you get to join our awesome game every single month, like the awesome people Queer Eye Sci-Fi. It's going to make me chuckle every single time. Queer Eye Sci-Fi.
I love that name.
Howl Cause, Hot Riku, Red Amira, Jazzy Kofed, Jaguar Quinn, Gloria Shu, Sudi, Stacy Pitt, Shock H, and Silver Deeds. We appreciate the crap out of you. And if
I
you're not
also
a big
love
fan,
Silver Deeds. Silver Deeds done dirt.
Oh my
Think of that
God.
every time.
Done.
Every time I never think of that. I always think of that. Oh.
if you're not a fan of Patreon, that's totally fine. You can go to our coffee account, KOFI/cosplaystitch. Yeah, KOFI cosplay stitch.
Be fire. Hit us up with those brush challenge details.
Give me your videos. Send me a video of your beautiful self transforming with a brush into your cosplay self. And I will make an amazing epic video out of all of our videos. Keep those guys flowing in. We got till April 30th. Let's do this.
Where do they send those?
cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com.
Woohoo! Remember, you can also get that sweet discount code from foxbeautycosmetics.com. It's Stitch and Seam, all spelled out, gives you 10% off your purchase. Thanks, as always, to Macy Roberts for the use of her theme song, and David Jeffress for his amazing editing. And tell us a little bit more about what's going on with your podcast, my David.
Dungeons and Chill, we should have the new Curse of Strahd episode out. If not by today, then very, very soon. Comic Trades Monthly, we have a surprise guest coming on. But we just read Bingo Love, and oh my gosh, it was a great episode. And, we got to talk about the complexities of people of color in the LGBTQ spectrum or anything along those lines, just in that realm of different and the impact that they have and how not to tokenize. It's an interesting kind of balance beam to walk across. But it was a really great conversation, and I would highly recommend Comic Trades Monthly for that. And now you can go listen to the super secret project that I've been working on for years now, The Last Voice.
Yay! So did you guys hear about the apocalyptic punctuation mark?
Oh no.
It's a catastrophe. I mean, come on, it's not often we have the chance to make apocalypse jokes, so I'm going to make them like there's no tomorrow. Hey. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Gosh, sorry, I got something in my eye. Sorry, David.
No, if I brought you to tears, that's fine.
So moving.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as promised, here is The Last Voice, the prologue and the first 2 episodes. You can get the 3rd episode now if you go to your favorite podcasting app and search The Last Voice. If it's not there, please reach out to me, either on the Discord, my Twitter, or whatever, and I will make sure it gets there as soon as possible. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for checking it out. You guys are the best. Bye! Ah! Come on, Gabe. Come on, Gabe. Oh, hell! Why is that on fire? You know, Mom, if you were here, you could have fixed this. What is wrong with you, Gabe? Anyone could have fixed this stupid thing by now. You stupid! Ah! You want to live? You need help. You need to... Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Wait. Why are you blinking? Are you on? Woo! Yes! Hello! Ow! Oh, okay, too much. Bring it back. Okay, got it. It's working. They can hear me. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Wait. They can hear me. Ah, Levels seem to be good. This is definitely going to be a huge drain on the battery. Gonna have to find more cells to charge. But this is progress. I'm set to make my first broadcast. Now what do I say? Should I write a script? Nah. I'll just wing it. You know, past Gabe, I think this was an excellent use of my time. Take that! Future me will thank us. Hello? Can anyone hear me? Is anyone receiving this? This is Gabriel Blythe. I am alive. I'm in the Salt Lake area. Repeat, my name is Gabriel Blythe. I'm in the Salt Lake area and I am alive. I can't be the only one with 2 cents in their brain after what happened. Everyone is just shambling around and they're just mindless. I know I can't be the only one who somehow missed whatever's affected everyone else. If you can hear this, you're not alone. Maybe you can't respond right now. It must have taken me a few weeks to set this damn thing up. Just so I can reach out to you or anyone else who might be able to turn on a radio. 'Cause that's what all the kids know how to do. Set up a CB radio. So, if you can hear me, I think we need to meet up. We'll be stronger in numbers, and it's important we find each other and stick together. Our chances of surviving, whatever this mess is, only goes up if we work together. If we find each other. I have some food. Food that's gonna last a while. I can share. We can go out for more and watch each other's back. Or maybe I'm not doing a good job convincing you. I am pretty good with tech stuff. Anything I read, I grasp pretty quickly. Not just computers and mobiles, but solar panels, and generators, and radios-ish. The point is, I have some useful skills, and I'm sure I can't do everything myself. What strengths do you have? This is the part where you tell me something? Jeez, Gabe. Everything goes sideways for a couple of weeks and you're already talking to yourself. Great. Just in case you can't hear me. just in case that my words aren't falling on deaf ears. For king and country, we need to stick together. If you can hear me, come find me. I'm going to go out so that way I can be found. Hopefully not by the... What do we call them? Never mind. I'm going to make it so you can find me. But where? All the films say that you shouldn't reveal your headquarters. Oh, here we go. I will be at the stadium tomorrow. I think that's Wednesday, from noon to 1800 hours. Or maybe you don't have a clock. Of course, power has been pretty inconsistent since... Why do I have to be the one who comes up with all these names? Alright, let's go cliche. Electricity has been pretty much non-existent since the event. So I gotta figure maybe you can't tell the exact time. According to this almanac, about 1800 hours is when we get sunset. So from about midday to sunset. And I just realized I sound like a total knob. Sorry. I shouldn't assume you don't have power or you don't know when sunset is. It's a thing I do. I don't want my weird quirks to push you away, though. I promise I have good quirks, too. Well, that seems like the dumbest thing anyone has ever said. Good thing it's the end of the world. Clearly, my self-esteem isn't one of my strong suits. But nothing we need to worry about right now, right? Unless you're a proper therapist, and that's your skill set, which may not be the best. Ah, jeez. I start talking for the first time in a while, and I turn into a freaking chatterbox and drain most of my battery already. I should have written that script. Okay, deal with that later. Quick recap. I am alive. I'm not affected by, again, the worst name ever, the event. I have electricity, I have food, and I figure our odds of surviving this are better if we work together. So, if you are alive, and that sounds really dismissive to them. Anyways, Salt Lake area stadium from midday to sunset or noon to 1800 hours or so. Tomorrow. If it's safe, make yourself there. We can meet up, work together, and survive this... If I call it what it is, it makes it all too real. We can survive this situation. Yeah. If I don't get a response, and if I don't see you, I'm going to reach out again, and again, and again. Maybe no one is hearing me yet, but I can't be the only one. I sure as hell don't want to do this alone. I'll put this broadcast out on repeat every day until I get a response. I'll keep trying every week, and we'll be monitoring the frequencies every morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So if you've got something to say, I would love to hear another voice besides my own. Never thought I'd get so sick of myself so fast. You know, in the past, I would have cherished. Hello? Is anyone out there? I'm broadcasting again. I really can't be the only survivor, so if you're out there... Okay. My name is Gabriel Blythe. I'm in the greater Salt Lake area. I'm trying to reach out to anyone who might be cognitive of what I'm saying. The people on the street, they seem docile. Not like you would see on TV. They're pretty chill. I mean, most serials and films say that they should be, well, you know, aggressive and trying to attack you. I don't even want to call them, you know, the Z word. It seems degrading, since they are people. And seeing them as people makes me think that all of them walking around out there aimlessly will snap out of it. Right. Maybe this will just be fixed, like people waking up from a coma. Just magically. Like this is something we just go through and think, well, that was weird. Everything is fine in the end, and they'll just say it was a small thing, just a blip. King of country, maybe it's just localized here. Then we wouldn't have to meet up in the end. Because, you know, it's all just temporary. Well, you know what they say. Plan for the worst, hope for the best and all that. But I don't know if anyone actually planned for this. Not even those preppers would have been able to plan for this. Could they? No. I mean, how could you plan to be all alone at the end of the... If I say it out loud, it feels just extra real. Never mind living it for so long. Wait a minute. How long has it been? 6 weeks, I think? Maybe 2 months? It's getting hard to keep track of time. Okay. Back to business, Gabe. Okay. If you can hear my broadcast, I'll be at the stadium just off of Main Street. Just sitting in the middle of the field. Real easy to spot me. I'm trying to reach out to you so we can meet up and work together. I have a lot of questions, but mostly I'm just lonely. And it can't be healthy being alone for so long. So I'll be there Wednesday, tomorrow, from noon to about 1800 hours. Or midday to, sundown. Now that I have this hope that I could meet someone, it is a bit easier to keep track of the days. So that's something, right? At first, I appreciated the silence, the lack of responsibility and no social obligation or norms to follow. I didn't do anything crazy, mind you, just felt nice to not have to do anything. Nothing expected of you. But now, it's several weeks with no communication, no dialogue with anyone. I kind of miss people. Ugh. Never thought I'd hear myself saying that. But you know where we are right now. It makes sense that you're bound to change. I guess you can figure I'm pretty introverted. Thus all this mindless rambling. Unfortunately for you, I can't read your facial expressions to know if I'm bothering you or not. I can just sit here and talk your ear off. Assuming you are hanging on every word and enjoying this fascinating conversation about what's going on. Well, that was dumb. Stupid Gabe. I'm sorry. I don't really know how to hold a conversation. Especially that's this one-sided. But if you want to meet up and not be alone, great transition, Gabe. Real smooth. We can meet Wednesday, and I'm already repeating myself. Maybe I should wrap it up. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just rambling away. You don't have to worry about the battery dying on me this time, though. That's nice. I found more cells, and I was able to string them together. Even found some more panels. Surprisingly, it takes a lot of power to get this up and going. And I'm getting distracted again. Listen, if you need help or support or food, I have water, and I'm making this space a little more bearable day by day. I don't know why we're the ones not affected by what happened in the event. Oh man, there's gotta be a better name. Regardless, you don't have to be alone. Even though a lot of what's going on makes it feel like you're supposed to be. Right now it's safe. The people, the Z words, they're not hostile. And you can just walk right by them. They don't notice you. If we can meet, we can start working together to make something better and start working on making things as they were. I'm just rambling again. I keep trying to figure out how to end this, but I'm not used to any form of conversations. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go, Gabe. Ending it officially. I'm going to put this message on repeat, and I'm going to blast it over and over again. And then monitor all the frequencies. Well, the ones I can monitor, and the ones I have access to. I'll monitor those every morning from 9 to 11 a.m. 2 hours to tell me how I can help you. You deserve help, too. You deserve that. You deserve help. Don't let this isolation tell you anything less. I hope to see you tomorrow, Wednesday. So, this is Gabe. Over and out. Well, that's stupid. Good thing no one heard you, right? Yeah, that's the thinking that'll get you out of this.